Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. We're at Sycamore Crossing and beautiful downtown Blue Ridge on a beautiful Friday morning, what looks to be shaping up like a great weekend.
Supposed to be in the 80s today. I took the dogs out this morning.
Well, we love to hear 80s.
It was chilly.
We've had a couple heat index.
Put the long sleeve on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you
what.
what.
She'll be wearing a quarter zip this morning.
I mean, it's the rare
we had an Al Gore July.
Hottest July on record.
Yeah, Al Gore loved it.
I know.
This would happen to be Bruce if you're tuning in for the first time. There you go. And this would happen to be Rick. I'm your host, BKP. Now, if you're here the second time, Jane is traveling.
She's in Russia. We said it 141 times on the show last week.
141?
I think we counted.
She's working on the rap approach for a month.
All right, so Jane is traveling in Russia. So we thought, hey, we'll just go with it. And
I got my grandsons watching. Can I just say hello to them?
Can you?
Hey, Easton Mason. Told you I'd be right here.
So, all right, grandsons. Those are the two guys I almost went to a baseball game with.
Yes.
Almost.
Oh, no, you went to the game. It just didn't happen.
Exactly.
You were in the stadium.
I almost watched a baseball game.
We had the popcorn. We had the peanuts. We had a lot of M&Ms that night.
Yeah, a lot of M&Ms. So, all right.
But we got rained out.
I remember.
Yeah.
Let's. What subject do you want first? You want Epstein? You want the? What do you want first?
Yeah, let's talk about hypoid bones. Sure, go ahead.
Epstein, Rick, go. Like the for those out there, I don't. For those out there, I used to be. I never missed the McLaughlin group. So go. All right.
Isn't it strange how something like this comes up and just sucks all the air out of all the newsrooms?
Exactly.
And this is the only thing they talk about. They don't talk about Omar getting denied entrance from Israel.
Well, they're this morning.
Yep.
This morning, it is the Omar and the Rashid Tlaib.
Yeah, they're letting her
Not
in.
just one of them, I thought.
They're
Just
letting her
Tlaib.
in.
Well, Tlaib. Now you switch your subjects, but Rashid Tlaib is Palestinian.
You're right.
And now Omar is Somali. All right. So they were going to go together, so they could together go to Palestinian areas of Israel and try to incite riots.
And do a little rain dance.
Yeah, they were going to try to get some things fired up in that and say, hey, I'm going to go back to America and support you and get it fired up, which the media will not tell that they keep talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel passed a law.
2017.
Right, that said that if, I don't know what the quote is, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, if anyone, encourages a boycott against Israel, they can come in the country.
Right, they're denied entrance.
What a shock.
Now, you changed the subject so quick. We were on Epstein.
We'll go back to
Epstein.
All right, so anyhow, they're going to let Rashid Tlaib in on what is a humanitarian visa, right?
When it was denied originally, apparently the caveat along that, you can reapply, but only on humanitarian reasons and only if you do not say anything.
So she has reapplied. Let's get clear here. She has a 93-year-old grandmother there, supposedly, right? That
family,
right? Rashid Tlaib. She's a congresswoman of color. She's just not of color from Michigan, Muslim.
Of color. She's from Palestine.
Okay, already. Okay. So she's
anyone
from
who's
Michigan.
not white is of color.
Yeah. Right.
Let's get it straight.
Well, we're using our media terms, right? Of color. But the deal is, she had to promise not to come over and do anything politically. She's there to visit her family,
Granny.
Right? So that's the
city, as she calls it.
So, and the media is going through the roof this morning because Trump tweeted out yesterday, and Netanyahu followed up and said, "No, you can't come. You're not going to come here and get everybody all fired up in the Palestinian regions."
And start lobbing stuff over the walls again.
Well, and play into the folks back home. There's a big group in the U.S. that's all about Palestinian rights. And
exactly.
Before you attack us or me, go research. They're both anti-Israel.
They were born that way.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no change in that.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like you're going to all of a sudden sit in a room and go, come on now. You need to change your thoughts.
Well, if you just go back and listen to their speeches, look at their tweets, look at their comments on the floor of Congress, they are anti-Israel, both of them.
Yeah. Very.
And the two of them, so out there, because some people are saying, well, the president tweeted this out and Netanyahu followed. I would say these two congresswomen fit exactly what Israel passed a law and said you can't do. Their rhetoric.
Yeah.
So I see that.
They're big BDS supporters. So
are we done with that subject?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's
well,
go back.
We tried earlier.
What we did is we went to taking the oxygen out of the room, and then we said if the oxygen was in the room, this would be the conversation.
Well, there's some of that, but there's also been some talk about the big drop on the
oh, you're talking about the 17-month recession.
The recession, yeah.
Yeah, the 17-month. That we're going to work very hard to step by step make this happen by election. You mean that recession?
We talked about this yesterday. It is so farcical.
It's so clear on the face of it. You can see, it's like the puppet masters in
We are creating this for you.
You said it on the show very well the other day when you said the media and the deep state and the establishment has tried everything they could to try to discredit Trump and try to make him lose in 2020. I think this is their last resort. And as Rush said, this was a trial balloon, and they think they succeeded. Yeah, we can run that market up and down, and we can make people think the casual traders out there. The casual market investors, we're going to scare the bejesus out of them.
Well, they want to show that they're the reason they can make it red and they can make it green. Mm-hmm. You can get up in the morning and we could control the future. So when you get up and you start looking at Fox Business or CNBC Business or whatever they have, all these business, Bloomberg, and you start looking at these and you see futures, okay? What's the market open at 9:30? Something like it.
Yeah,
first bell
9:30. Eastern.
Right, Eastern time. So you can start seeing, futures are up. Well, they love, because I get up at 4 a.m. and I turn on CNN, and CNN loves to say futures look down, already in the red to it. They love building that all the way up for the morning.
Well, the bad news is they're in the green today.
Well, but and I don't want to claim understanding, but the inverted curve with the 10 and the 2, I get it, I understand that, but I like how the president just goes after the Federal Reserve. I mean, Obama had a negative interest rate, which I still don't understand truly how you do that, but you remember it was negative.
You put $10,000 in the bank, and when you pull it out, you only get $9,782 because you're in a negative position. Isn't that about right?
Yeah, you pay the bank. You pay the bank
to park your dough.
So they were negative interest rate, and they were the quantitative easing, which I don't like any of this, but it was the cash was running out the door, and they pulled all that back on Trump. They have pulled all that back on Trump. So there's a 17-month anticipated recession.
You said something earlier when you said they want you to know that they can make it red or green.
Yes.
There's an element of truth to that.
Yeah, but they can't make it blue.
I missed the blue. Could you explain to me? We're together on
Blue
this?
states, red states.
Okay.
All the red and green they want, but they can't make it blue.
There you go. What was that? Sows, plows, and cows.
Sows, plows,
and plows.
That's my line. I'm taking that one, man.
Hey.
That's going on the show with me Monday.
Back to Epstein.
Sparky, chill out up there.
Guess whose dog that is?
I know whose dog that is. I'm going to send him a message to tell him to put Sparky in. Anyhow, so that being said, hey, it's a live show, and he's wolfing because he sees a truck outside.
Right, he wants to be on camera.
Exactly. But they are anticipating a recession. They're building it up. And I will tell you this. You want to go back to Epstein? Because I will tell you this. Recession, or if they convince people there's a recession, that will hurt Trump with independence. That's my opinion. And gun laws, gun legislation will be what would separate Trump from some of his supporters. That's my opinion.
Yeah, there's already some murmurs about that.
Exactly.
That if Trump doesn't really stand strong, a lot of people are in. Well,
I thought he stood strong in his speech last night.
So go for that, because that's what I was going to say.
He got
wait a minute.
Wait,
I want
what
this.
happened to
I want this. Trump wants to bring back the crazy house. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insane asylums.
Yes, he
Go
wants to
for it.
bring it back. He's like, but you know what happened? He's 100% right.
We
and people
talked
don't give
about
him
this.
time. We just closed these and released people.
Yeah.
Go
In
ahead.
the-
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but
in the
I could
60s
not-
we did.
We
and guess
did.
who did? Guess who closed them all? It was the Democrats. They said it's not fair to house these people. And now we've got the worst homeless situation we've ever had. Those were a lot, I shouldn't say all of them, those were a lot of the people that have severe mental defects, problems.
Yes.
Those were the ones that were getting care inside these, we call them mental institutions, we call them crazy houses.
Well, they were
call
getting
them,
drugs inside padded
we,
rooms.
we talked about this on the car. You had wasn't it you that had a relative? No.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was Ross Daniel, a friend of mine. Sorry for your last name, Ross. A friend of mine in Atlanta, his
It
uncle-
wasn't me. I generally don't throw my friends under the bus.
I know.
But that was over here.
No, he
No,
had
I
a-
understand. I understand.
he had an uncle that ran Milledgeville for years, and that's and he remembers like it
Well,
was
let
yesterday.
me say this. I don't care to horse around and say
No,
stuff.
we're
let
not.
Me, yeah,
We're
but
not.
let me back up. I said the crazy house. I want to apologize for that. In a different way, I wouldn't care to say it, but right now, what we're talking about, the seriousness of last night's speech, and people don't pick up. There was a segment that I picked up yesterday afternoon that I sometime in the corner of the eye, I'll have a TV on, and I forget, somebody on Fox did a segment on L.A.
Oh yeah,
Did you see that?
Yeah, that was the attorney that sits in the
Right. I
the
didn't
first
remember
seat,
who it was because
in
I was
LA.
working. I was working
Yeah.
on something. The homeless.
Skid Row.
Skid Row, right. I was working on something, and
It's a
it was
brilliant
off-
piece.
And it caught my ear, and they were going and talking to people, and actually, L.A. does not have, one of the few cities that does not have a rat something program, well, I forget what it is.
rat control.
Rat control. Just here you go. Simple as that. I forget. That's probably what they called it. They're one, and what they were talking about is we're looking at there being some kind of epidemic come out of L.A.
Typhoid.
Right.
I mean,
Bubonic plague.
Yeah, the
Let's
plague.
go to
Hey,
the,
that's what was on the story, was
Black-
it
go to the
not?
Middle Ages.
is that
They're
Black
cons-
Death?
Yeah.
No, they're concerned with
Black
that.
Death.
It was serious,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Black Death matters.
But going back to Trump last night,
You're on a roll, baby. That's for sale, by the way. If you need to buy one.
It's a live show, baby. I love it. Motorcycle. All right. So going back to Trump's speech last night,
right.
and gun legislation, as they're talking about, and we keep talking about mental health in America. We did just shut these places down and turn people out on the streets.
Absolutely. Look it up if you don't believe it. That's exactly what happened.
And I can understand we're
gonna
gonna get the notes. We're gonna get the notes, and we're gonna get the stuff posted on Facebook from Trump last night, saying we were in there testing on people and some of the negative things. There were. Bottom line, there were some negatives that if we did it again, if we would do this again, we'd have to learn from. But Trump's in favor of building places for these mentally ill people in the major cities.
Now,
I don't know.
I got to admit that I know that you want. I jumped in. I was jumping in and out because I got the twins and and they're running around and
Right.
stuff. But I thought the largest applause he got is when he said, "Guns don't kill people. Guns
They don't
pull the trigger
Yeah,
by
guns
themselves.
don't- yeah, exactly.
It's someone behind the trigger that's pulling the trigger."
What say you on everything we're talking about, Bruce?
What happened to Epstein's throat? That's what I want to know.
We were on a
I'm
good
just
roll
kidding.
there.
Obviously, the Democrats are just doing fear mongering. Going back to your earlier point about
I get
controlling
angry.
the
Go ahead.
financials. It's fear mongering 101, 102, 103. And you said, one of you said that this is their last best shot. I disagree. I think they'll come up with something even more stupid.
Well, retail sales numbers came out positive. And do you know what the media said this morning? I watched both of them this morning. Retail sales, although retail sales are up, that could be bad. I swear to God, that's exactly what they said. They could be bad because at the same time, then that may stop the Fed from wanting to bring down interest rates. What the heck? You people are nuts. There's nothing, not a report that can be positive in any way whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah, and they'll just keep getting stupider about it.
Well, I will say this on the on the guns. When I say angry, I really get angry every time the report starts and it says gun violence. Guns have no violence, none whatsoever. Guns do not have any violence.
We talked about it when you were gone last week.
I've owned a weapon for how long, and my gun is not violent. I never have to say, "Set your violent ass down and shut." I mean, it's
when's
just
the last
not.
Time, yeah, when's the last
but
time?
That is the lead: gun violence. Did you see how they tried to turn this? Bozo for a mayor in Philadelphia tried to turn what happened 2 days ago in Philadelphia with the 6 police officers wounded. I don't want to say just wounded. Tried to turn it into, we need help here with gun control. Whoa, wait a minute. Nothing that you're advocating for would have stopped the other day.
Maybe what you need is a DA that will keep someone in jail instead of letting them out and criticizing the cops and telling them they're racists and they're Nazis. Maybe that's what you need. You need a DA that'll do his job.
Go ahead, Bruce. What you got?
I got some stuff here. I mean, this is an article from the Daily Signal. I mean, contrary to popular talking points, the United States does not have a particularly extraordinary problem with mass public shootings compared with other developed countries after accounting for population differences. So, you know, if you look at the mass shootings and killings that happen here compared to other countries, you know, statistically with our 330 million people, statistically we're not ahead of other countries. Other countries are ahead of us. And the mass killings in other countries are typically done with bombings, stabbings, or cars.
Let's stay on this just a second.
Sure.
And we're going to get to Epstein and put plenty of time into that and some other subjects. So, but let me ask you guys. All three of us support the President of the United States.
Yep.
All right. On a daily basis, we're hearing, okay, you've got, and let me finish before we get in because I want what you think. We've got the Pat Toomey Serenity Now, because bipartisan's going to come out and steam. If you see steam come out of my ears, can't you like create that? Right?
Yeah.
So you got the Pat Toomey Republican, Joe Manchin, okay,
West Virginia
Democrat. Then you have the Marco Rubio,
Little Marco,
Serenity Now, Dianne Feinstein.
Die-fi.
Then this is the Die-Fi that created Christine Blasey Ford.
Exactly.
All right, all right. Then you have Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal. Is he the lying Vietnam vet?
You're being rather harsh.
You're being rather accurate, though.
But this is in. I read a Politico article yesterday that, you know. So you got Rubio, Feinstein working on gun legislation, bipartisan, and we're so happy. I mean, we're just cheering. It's bipartisan. Oh my God! Then you've got Blumenthal, Graham, and you got Toomey, Manchin. If the Senate comes back, what legislation would you accept as a Trump supporter if he signed, and what will you not accept? Can you share? I mean, you're a member of the NRA, right?
Yep.
And what, both of you, what would hurt you with your support for the President of the United States, or really bring you down?
Well, you asked me 2 questions there. The first one was, what would I support?
I'm gonna sit back and let your grandsons hear this story. I'm relaxed. Go ahead.
The first question you asked is, what would I support? What I would support is an executive order that states that what we must do as a country, as legislators, as citizens, is obey the current gun laws that are in effect. And I think that would I think that if they obeyed and they went by the current gun laws that are in effect, which they're not enforcing right now, I think that everything that they're trying to achieve would happen. So in other words, I don't want any new legislation. I want them to enforce what we've got on the books right now.
What about
anything new to me is unacceptable as well, because
Go ahead.
Anything is like a crack in the armor. I mean, it just they get their finger inside and then they just start pulling, and
does it not bother
you? A scab.
Does it not bother you? Every one of them that get on TV, the end all is we got to do something. I'm like, no, that can't be. But you hear that?
Yeah, sure.
We got to do something, even from the right, the left, the center, whatever they're calling. They're all saying, but we have to do something.
I think you saw last night Trump's signal to the base that he's really not going to do anything except enforce the laws around the books now. When he said, when that key phrase came out, he said, guns do not kill people. They do not pull their own trigger. We have got to do something about the people that are behind it.
Well, I know this. When Tipper Gore thought that lyrics and music was offensive, we had congressional hearings, remember? We had congressional hearings, and we actually passed the advisory we actually passed the advisory when you went to the Walmart, and this back in the old days we had cassette tapes, but we actually passed the parental advisory notice, right?
Yep.
And they had to put out a clean record and a whatever, right, that could play on. But we had a major thing when Tipper Gore said, this is bad for our youth, right?
Yep.
Now you say video games are bad. Maybe they're having it, but I think we need to have a legislative, if oversight, instead of these guys worrying about, impeaching the president, why don't we get some real stuff in there and some real committee hearings about these video games and things like that, and mental health, and let's see what we come up with before.
And the video game industry's already come out and said there's been no substantive research that has linked video games with violent behavior.
Correct. Yep.
And
they're already taking it.
And the media runs with that, and
I'll tell you this.
There's been no substantive research that violent films from Hollywood have anything to do with social behavior, and the media runs with that. So we get back to this big issue that's always hanging over virtually everything we talk about. In a free society, how much freedom does everybody get? Because legislators always want to come in and say, it's our definition of freedom. And you can only go this far, and you can't go any further. And it's rubbish.
Well, I think it goes, and I want to move from this because I think it goes back to, and I think, don't write this down, Josh, or record. I don't want to say I'm wrong.
Let's go off air.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm wrong, but
go to card.
I like what you said there, because I've just said, hey, why are we not having, hearings on video games? I want to double back and get in real trouble. Mom, Dad, don't let the kids play them. That's real trouble, right? So why the government legislate, and I get where you're going with that. Why should we have the government legislate their level of what they think freedom is versus Mom, Dad, little Johnny does not need to be killing people at 12 years old.
And that's why legislatures feel they were elected to
because
make
I will
things
tell you
better.
The graphics now, and they can lie, and they do. The graphics are so amazing. They're simulators, because right now we're using the computer that when we buy computers for our company, we actually buy what's called the top gaming computers for graphics, because we have to translate so many frames a second to do a live show. So when we buy a computer to do live road shows like this morning, what we look for is the top gaming graphics, right? Period.
One of the best NVIDIA cards made, come on.
All right.
If we could just wrap this up with, and I don't mean to say that I'm going to wrap it up, but
no, go for it. You act like you've done the show before. You act like you filled in and ran things, so go with it. For those out there,
we come back to one basic fact that we just can't deny, and that we've got an overall degradation of societal norms of what maybe we're used to. You know, the family unit is not what it used to be.
It's been watered down, definitely.
It's so much easier to do what's not right than what's right. And where does that come from? It stems from the family unit handing down the values that they got from their parents, and whether it be faith, whether it be education, whether it be, you know, taking a piece of penny candy when you're not supposed to. It just seems like it's going away. It's decaying around us. And one other thing, when we get to the point in society when life after birth doesn't matter anymore, we have really, I mean, we are in a circular slide into that sewer.
No, I agree, Bruce.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize for that.
Last week we talked on the show about all the murders and everything like that, and here is something I didn't say, but this is a Mother Teresa saying, "We must not be surprised when we hear of murders, killings, of wars, or of hatred. If a mother can kill her own child, what is left for us but to kill each other?" I think that wraps it up.
And I will tell you this, going what you're saying is, if you discuss mom, dad, if you discuss a man and woman getting married, having children, and calling that you get attacked now. You openly discuss that, you get attacked, that you're not being inclusive. And I'm going to tell you something. I always go for the get in trouble, but if you have a child at home and you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm going to wait and let them decide if they're a boy or girl. What?
Yeah, that's abdication.
Really? I want them to decide.
It goes back to my point. I mean, our society, has gotten open, more free. So people, the norms, the societal norms that we grew up with in the 50s, 60s, 70s,
they're gone.
They're gone.
Well,
because everyone's got their own definition of what you can do now. And if you tried to bring back more rules and try to get people to live like we used to, if you will, they rebel. They say, you can't tell me to do that.
I want to get...
I want to go back to Epstein.
No, I don't. I want to stay here, but I don't want to get into this ain't Oprah or nothing. It's not like we're trying to figure... All right, let me go with this. Now, people will criticize my parents, okay? They'll criticize my parents because they will say my parents brainwashed us kids, this and that. I vividly hear, if you live, I will go to my grave hearing if you're going to live under my roof. Okay?
I think that's universal among the three of us.
Okay, so I will go to my grave if you're going to live under my roof, young man. Okay?
Here are the rules.
You will be home by this hour. Yeah. If you're going to live under my roof, young man, you will get up and be ready for church. Okay? I'm 16 now, Dad. I don't care. See the roof? Under it? Get up.
Yep.
I'm just sorry.
That's pretty cool.
So you will you live under my roof. We switched up, and I would hear parents say, and I'm trying not to go down the road of knocking parents right now, but
he is.
I would hear parents say, like, well, when it comes to church and religion, we're wanting our children to make that decision on their own. Well, excuse me for using church and all this and this phrase and the same thing, but damn it, that ain't the answer. I'm sorry, that was about church. Now I'm in trouble. But you know what I mean? We're gonna let our children decide if they want to be what?
Big mistake.
I don't know. Did I got to get off that?
No, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going. But a lot of people don't buy that. They don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to give it the time of day. And that's why we're in the fix we're in.
I want one more under my roof. While you're under my roof, you will not wear that jean jacket with a peace sign sewed on the sleeve. Let's go.
And what your mother made in front of you, that's your meal. If you don't like it, there's starving children in China.
Starving children in China. Eat the peas. I don't care how long they stay in your jowls.
I didn't hear a lot of that. Appetite was never my problem.
Good dinner, Mom.
Never appetite. Mom's a good cook. Appetite. That one didn't come up a lot, you know?
That's funny.
All right, so let's go. Epstein. Period.
Yeah, Epstein. Hey, Josh, you have a picture you put up?
What have you done? I can't see when we're here.
No, it's a little picture of
A former president.
I know. There's only
Bubba in drag
A former vice
with
president.
his former VP sniffing his
Bill.
ears.
I did
No,
not.
it's not his former VP.
I did not
a
have.
former president and a former VP.
Yeah, former VP.
What did Bill Clinton say? Bill Clinton said, I did not have sexual relations with that 14, 15, 16, or 17-year-old girl.
You can take that down anytime, Josh.
Anyhow, okay, back to you, Phil. That's what they say on the radio. Back to you, Phil. Okay, listen.
Phil Rizzuto.
You got three choices.
Oh, jeez. Multiple choice now.
All right, now wait for me.
Like,
You got to
sounds like
say.
trivia.
Do you think? And give me your reasons. Do you think Epstein's still alive somewhere, whisked away, and all of the people in the NYFD uniforms were really the military, and he's on an island somewhere? A. B. Do you think Epstein was murdered and he is dead? Or C, do you think he was committed his own suicide? A, B, or C, and why?
B. I think he had some help in his own suicide.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, A, B, and C.
You know, I was an early on guy that said that he's been transferred body double. He's, getting ready to turn state's evidence, but I'm thinking he's dead.
But yeah, he's dead, but that goes in A, B, and C.
B.
Which one?
B.
Somebody, homicide?
Yeah.
Yeah, murder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm of the opinion he was murdered. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Josh, over to you.
all right. I'm of the opinion
Where
he's
in the
murdered.
world are
Yeah.
the tapes? Where are the jail tapes?
Well, I'll tell you.
And what I'd like to see is just an example of the paper bread sheets. I'd just like someone to hold them up on TV and
yeah,
rattle
and
them
see if
around.
you can. See if
Yeah,
you
I
can
mean-
Well, Congressman Doug Collins, our congressman, which is the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee, Republican member, he was on the show Wednesday, and he knows the Attorney General, and William Barr has had a lot of conversations with him, and I made reference that the Attorney General does not look very happy. The last several press encounters, he did not look happy, and he laughed out loud. He said, "Exactly, he's not happy."
But the mainstream media is coming after him because the federal prisons come under the Department of Justice.
Happened on his watch.
It happened on his
Oh.
watch. He is responsible for his death.
Well, I'll tell you what Congressman Collins
Right?
said Wednesday, not to quote because we do have the interview. I talked about what I call the document dump Friday, and I even got into conversation. You got Richardson's names floated, and Mitchell, and Prince Andrew,
Andrew.
right?
Yeah.
And here's what Congressman Collins says. Well, okay, knowing that those documents were coming out, how come they did not ratchet up? How come they did not, say, call over to prison and say, let's put 2 guards on Epstein tonight because this is happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who was it that said?
Somebody.
Someone. I think Epstein's going to have kind of a bad day. Probably you need to ratchet it up and watch him a little bit tighter.
Somebody.
Instead, they go to sleep and they change
Yeah.
the guard round roster.
Somebody allowed plenty of room and time for anything they needed
And
to
of course,
do to
there's a
happen.
rumor that there was shrieking coming from his cell
Yeah.
from some of the other. So, yeah, it stinks.
I want to
Do
see
you
the tape.
think, all this is, we got to use the word allegedly. Do you think the Clintons, I tell you what, I will say this. Do you think the Clintons somewhere, somehow, it's a Vince Foster, Ron Brown bullet in the top of the head. Do you think the Clintons are somewhere in this?
Is this a yes or no?
Let's go for it. It's kind of like open-ended.
Open-ended. It would seem likely based on past performance.
That's a nice way to put it. Wow. Grandkids are watching. I gotta keep it nice. I know the grandkids are watching when you put Bill's picture up in a dress.
I think it's a Bernie Madoff, payback thing, So it's there's something that's tied back to like other issues. So
you think there's a lot more in that water that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a group of people that,
that are nervous.
Yeah, very nervous.
Nothing adds up, folks.
Yeah.
Nothing adds up to me. I can't get it. Plenty of room. But I will say this. They talk about my president. They hate my president. But I really think my president is brilliant, because I think when he tweeted out Clinton's, when he retweeted that and the media went nuts, I think more young people went and said, let me Google this. And there's been more people learn who I've always heard of Vince Foster, and I read it. Who Ron Brown. I think more people have Googled that Clinton's.
Seth Rich.
Right? And gone through that. So I kind of like his
Seth
tweets.
Yeah.
And I noticed the media will not, if you watch the media, they will not talk about Richardson, Mitchell, the Prince, and they will not talk about the 27 trips that Bill was on. And
because he denies it,
right.
And you have to take that fabulous Democratic president at his word.
That was the biggest trending hashtag the day that murder happened, was another one, another notch in the Clintons' gun.
Another one butts the dust.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yes.
Air shots, air
balls and home runs.
Can't walk the dog, whatever you call it.
Okay, my home run. Captain Annalise Satz, 29 years old, from Idaho, became the first woman in the Marine Corps to fly F-35s. I think that's pretty cool.
Good.
Women have only been flying in the Marine Corps since the early 90s. And this is our top-end stealth fighter jet, so it's really neat. Airball.
And the cool thing was that the first time they fly those as an F-35 pilot, they're by themselves.
Yeah, solo, baby.
Exactly.
My airball, you're a loser. Joe Biden. We choose truth, not facts. Yeah. How does this guy stay at 30%? He should be at 3%.
Bruce, you know what? Poor kids have poor kids are. They
every bit as bright as white kids.
Exactly. Go ahead.
All right. My loser, we've already talked about my loser of the week, and that's Ilhan Omar, who is standing at the gates of Israel, not being able to get in. I think that's just an absolute perfect loser of the week. My winner of the week is a strange one.
It's full or string.
Yeah, it's the hyoid bone. Never in the history has a bone that's in the human body been so talked about,
or Googled, right?
Or Googled as the hyoid bone. The hyoid bone it has no articulating features. It sits. It's analogous to a piece of fruit sitting in Jell-O, and if we didn't have the hyoid bone, we wouldn't be able to talk. So it's a little U-shaped bone. Now, you want to know how it's named? It's named after a Greek word that sounds like U in Greek, or upsilon. That's how they named the hyoid bone.
The Epstein alleged suicide will be on Forensic Files soon.
Yeah, that's right. That's my winner of the week.
Okay. All right, folks. Let me just say a couple quick things. One, the media, as you know, I like to study them. When I say I do. I enjoy studying and watching what they're doing. They're trying to manipulate the country into believing in 17 months there will be a recession. That is working every day. And if they can manipulate the country, I will tell you, that is where independent voters will make their choice. If they can convince independents that the economy is going downhill, whether it is or not, and if they pull the buttons that make it happen. On the other side, they've been looking for an issue to separate Trump's supporters, the president's supporters, and to drive a wedge between him and the supporters, and that would be gun legislation. So if they can get a couple percent of Trump supporters to say, well, I'm just mad, but I won't vote for a Democrat and stay home, and they can get a couple percent of independents to say, yes, I'm in fear because they tell me 7 days a week the economy is going downhill. Let's stay focused, folks, okay? Every time you think that Joe Biden does not stand a chance, Remember, this is a country that elected Barack Hussein Obama twice, and the second time we knew everything about this guy, and we did it again, this country. Not me, maybe you, but we did. So don't think and don't get complacent on that.
Is that all the media, do you think? I mean, do you think any of the media is reporting anything fairly?
Well, all right, let me do this because we got to go.
Yeah.
I want to rephrase when I say the media. I call them, if you watch the show, I call them hashtag the corrupt corporate deep state media. They are on a roll. And I'm going to close here, so we got to, but I want to say thank you to you guys. I want to say thank you, Rick, Bruce. I don't know. I don't have words for it. I just appreciate these people so much. I got some personal things going on. You're like family out there with my family as far as health that I'm having to deal with, and I could not do it. I want to look at this. I could not do it without these people here. I cannot do it without them jumping in and helping any way whatsoever, and the entire staff. But Rick, I really want to say to you guys and you for running the show for me, I appreciate you very much. And hey, grandkids out there, maybe one day we'll go watch a baseball game. I'm putting that on record. You got it?
Here we go.
Hey, we got to go. North Georgia.
Well, we are going to watch a rodeo.
Rodeo, yeah.
We got the rodeo tonight, boys.
North Georgia Senior Living right after this break. And we have some special guests you don't want to miss this morning. Although we love our Jesse Barton, we've got 2 special guests. Woo-hoo. Take us a break.